Hey, it's Dr. Ron here, and today let's talk about a couple of words that sound the same but have kind of different meanings. So, two words that sound the same are desire and require. They're vastly different in their meaning, even though they tend to get confused very often. In other words, desire, which refers to a want, is often confused with require, which refers to a need. First of all, let's understand that there's nothing wrong with wanting some things. That's what guides us for making choices and uh, becoming, in essence, the best versions of ourselves by moving forward with the things that we want. So, want is, while it's a four-letter word, it's not a dirty four-letter word. By the same token, there are some things that are uh, believed to be wants that are really needs, and vice versa. Things that are uh, perceived to be needs that are really wants. So let's try and not confuse the two. In other words, if a child is injured, you may need to get that person to the physician. Same thing for yourself, depending on the nature of the injury. If you are working in a job situation and the boss has a requirement, then the fact that it's opening day of whether it be fishing season or baseball season uh, does not supersede that. You know, that's a need. It may not be a physiologic need, the same as food and water and shelter and so on, but it is a need if you want to keep your job. But so many things that we sometimes perceive as needs are really wants. They're not requirements. We don't uh, have to get home in time to see the movie that is starting on TV at a particular time. We don't have to get seated in the restaurant at the time of our reservation. Those are things to want, and they may go into our judgment of what the restaurant is, but they're not needs. The things that enable us to survive as a person tend to be needs. Again, physiologic needs, the requirements of people who have the ability to uh, get us through school, to make determinations about whether we pass or not, who have the ability to uh, get us promotions on the job, to keep the job, and so on. People who have the ability to help us with respect to our health issues, they may present us with certain requirements that are, in fact, requirements and our needs. But again, wants are things that are important to us. Being able to desire something enables us to be motivated to move forward, make certain kinds of judgments, and be able to become better versions of ourselves. We get into trouble, however, when we confuse the two, and that guides us. We feel lousy if we don't accomplish a want, as opposed to the fact that, hey, this is something that we desired, we weren't able to attain it, and that's too bad. Uh, People who have followed me know that I have talked about the difference between something being too bad and something being tragic. There are things in the world that are too bad, but aren't, life threatening, tragic, uh, catastrophic, and so on. So it starts just like pretty much everything else. As human beings, it starts in the brain, starts in what we're able to tell ourselves, and being able to distinguish between want and need, between desire and require, are among the basic things that can help us to stay happier, can help us to stay healthier, can help us to make decisions that may be inconvenient versus letting things go if uh, the world and ourselves as people aren't going to change because of it. So, um, hope you'll keep that in mind. Be interested in your thoughts on the matter. You can communicate to me in the comments here or at the mental health gym. Looking forward to hearing from you and looking forward to speaking with you again in a few days. Take care now.